One Piece has had some spectacular clashes throughout the course of its run, and the story has finally reached its endgame. This means that the fights from now on will be far more intense, and people are eagerly anticipating them. But even so, as shonen fans, we live for the battle scenes. The characters' triumphs are our triumphs, and their misfortunes are also our heartbreaks. Nothing beats seeing a battle scene, whether we're witnessing a power surge or a desperate reversal of fate, and with the introduction of Haki, the stakes have never been higher. That's why for today's video, here are the top 10 One Piece Haki clashes going on currently, and our top 2 will definitely shock you. Caution! There will be spoilers ahead, so watch out. Number 10. Luffy vs 50,000 Fishmen. And with that, we'll begin with some nostalgia. Yes, we go back to the Sabaody Archipelago arc, where we find enemies surrounding Luffy, preparing to kill him, but Luffy unleashes a massive bout of Conqueror's Haki, knocking out around 50,000 opponents and shocking the new Fishman pirates, as well as stunning almost everyone who are perplexed as to how Luffy did it because he did not appear to have done anything. Robin recognizes Luffy's actions, and Jinbei remarks on his improvement. Luffy approaches Hody slowly and announces that there can only be one king of the pirates. Number 9. Yamato vs Kaido. Coming up in 9th place is Yamato vs Kaido. Yamato was introduced to us during the Wano Country storyline and has played a significant role. When Kaido knocked Luffy out shortly after learning how to inject Conqueror's Haki, it was Yamato who stopped the Yonko from killing everyone in the Skull Dome. Yamato demonstrated the dog fruit, modeled mouth of the Makami powers, which were nothing short of astounding to see. She could confront Kaido and hold him off in a spectacular manner thanks to the Devil Fruit's power and increased mastery over Haki. Yamato faced off against the Yonko, and the duel quickly delivered all fans had hoped for and more. Not only did it raise Yamato's character and explain her relationship with her father, but it also provided people with a glimpse into the enormous power that this terrible character held. Number 8. Katakuri vs Luffy. At 8th place, it's the lovely General Charlotte Katakuri vs Luffy. Big Mom's second son is a master at Conqueror's Haki and possesses a Devil Fruit skill similar to Luffy's. What distinguishes him is his observation of Haki, which permits him to glimpse into the future. This means he can easily avoid Luffy's assaults. However, in the middle of the match, he lets his defenses down to sip tea and donuts in privacy, convinced that Luffy cannot defeat him, only for the Straw Hat's commander to barge in and reveal his face, which is a well-guarded secret. As Katakuri acknowledges Luffy's determination, his rage gives way to grudging admiration, and the two restart their fight, this time as equals. But what makes it a true contender for this list is that it provides insight into the personalities of both fighters. When Katakuri's spear stabs Luffy as a result of his sister's interference, the lovely general demonstrates his gentlemanly warrior side by stabbing himself and exposing his face to make the fight fair. And in the end, when he falls on his back for the first time in a fight, it's in honor of Luffy, whom he now considers his first true test. Luffy returns the favor, covering his fallen rival's face. Number 7. Oden vs Kaido. Next up, taking the 7th spot is Oden vs Kaido. This might be one of my favorites. Oden engaged Kaido in a huge fight 20 years ago in Wano Country's Udon region. Although Oden legally lost this fight, I believe he defeated Kaido in essence. He dealt enormous damage on Kaido with his swords, Ame no Habakiri and Enma, and nearly decapitated him. Kaido only won the battle because Oden was distracted by Kurozumi Higurashi, and Kaido took advantage of the opportunity to deliver a lethal strike, effectively ending the fight. Even Kaido understood he had lost the fight, which is why he had Higurashi executed for her interference when the battle was over. But what are your thoughts on this? Please tell us in the comments. Number 6. Zoro vs King. In 6th place, we have Zoro vs King. Zoro's confrontation with King in the Wano Country storyline was predestined. When the two finally confronted each other, it was anything but a dull affair. Despite his might, Zoro was ruled by King throughout the battle, and his own sword, Enma, refused to obey him. However, things improved as Zoro began to channel his own Conqueror's Haki into his swords, but it was only the beginning since King was only getting started. Zoro continued to channel Conqueror's Haki to keep Enma in line, but it was evident that this was something he was still attempting to master the more King unleashed his strikes. However, as the match progressed, Zoro discovered the secret to King's power and attempted to take advantage of the brief windows in which King received damage. But the struggle began to heat up as King became more enraged than ever before to fight for his own captain. But in the end, Zoro was the stronger and had a stronger willingness to battle for his captain of the two. Zoro slashed past all of King's ferocious attacks and officially ended the fight in a flashy manner. Number 5. Shanks vs. Whitebeard. At number 5, we have Shanks vs. Whitebeard. Despite the world government's best attempts, Shanks eventually catches up with Whitebeard. His main objective for the meeting, to deter Ace from pursuing his former crewmate, Blackbeard. They first settle down and share a drink. Shanks then points to one of his scars on his face. Declaring it came from a member of Whitebeard's crew, Marshal D. Teach, he then requested that Whitebeard halt Ace's search for Teach. Whitebeard grows enraged and declares that Blackbeard must receive his lesson. Then he hurls his bottle at Shanks. Shanks draws his blade and declares that the world shall be destroyed. The two Haki-infused swords collide and the sky splits as a result of the impact. A move only performed by those with Conqueror's Haki. The fight ends with Shanks retreating, but it was definitely a spectacular fight to see. Number 4, Shanks vs. Kid. Taking the 4th position, we have Shanks vs. Kid. Despite being one of the shortest bouts in One Piece, Shanks vs. Kid is one of the most spectacular fights after the Wano arc's completion. When Kid finished his quest in Wano, he followed the log pose, which led him to Elbaf, much to his amazement. Eustace Kid was confronted by a fleet of red-haired Shanks before reaching this amazing island, and the two pirate parties engaged in a fight. Shanks immediately heard about it and realized Kid had come to get him. As expected, he went to confront Kid, concerned for his companion's safety. When Kid was ready to destroy the vast majority of Shanks' fleet, which is notoriously weak, Shanks sprang into action and dispatched Eustace Kid, a pirate worth 3 billion berries, with a single swing of his sword. Even more intriguing for us was the fact that Shanks was employing the identical technique that Roger did, implying that he had inherited the late pirate king Gol D. Roger's Haki. Just like the scabbards could use Oden's Haki, Shanks' attack killed not only Kid, but also Killer. The Kid pirates were utterly destroyed on this day. Number 3, Roxy Zebek Pirates vs. Roger and Garp. Taking the 3rd spot, we have Roxy Zebek versus Roger and Garp. Roxy Zebek was the captain of the Rocks Pirates, which included Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido, Shiki, and countless other incredible pirates. He previously had 3 ex-emperors of the seas on his crew, which tells us a lot about his power levels. Although nothing is known about this man at the moment, we are confident more information about him will be revealed soon. He is a definite Conqueror Haki user, and in the God Valley incident, it required the combined might of Roger and Garp to defeat this man. He was a terrifying pirate back in the day, and we can't wait to see him again soon. Number 2, Roger vs. Whitebeard. Taking the runners-up position, we have Roger vs. Whitebeard. 26 years ago from the current timeline, we had one of the most legendary battles take place. It all began when Whitebeard arrived on board the Odo Jackson, Roger's ship, and he engaged in a monstrous clash of Haki with the Pirate King, unleashing enough fury to blow back everything on the island as well as the Moby Dick. As the two formidable pirates met, their crews surged at one another, fighting and pillaging each other for 3 days and 3 nights, and after all that, they called it a draw. Number 1, Kaido vs. Luffy. Taking the first position without question is Kaido versus Luffy. Luffy's fight with Kaido is one of the best in One Piece, and it might even be the best in the story. On the roof of Onigashima, we got to see the true effect of possessing Conqueror's Haki. Luffy showed Yonko how good he was with his new skills and was able to fight him toe to toe. Even better, Luffy lost to Kaido twice on the rooftop and died in the process once. This made the stakes much higher. The fight between these two has some of the best action and most exciting changes in all of One Piece. Luffy was able to use the power of Gear 5th and his Devil Fruit to beat Kaido in the end. Luffy put his life on the line to take him down. He couldn't afford to lose this one because he was responsible for an entire country and had made promises to his friends. Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, then give it a thumbs up, comment, share, and subscribe.